Out with the old trend, in with a new trend. Here's what's happening in the Delray Beach real estate market right now. Hi, it's John Whelan, Mr. Downtown Delray, and welcome back to my How's the Delray Beach real estate market for September 2025. Today, there's a few ideas that are popping up showing a new trend may be emerging in our local real estate market as we race toward the fourth quarter of 2025. I'm talking about three things. Number one, supply is crashing in South Florida. I'll show you 3 zip codes as proof. Number 2, expired listings are becoming a thing. And 3, new reports showing that we might be leaving a buyer's market and heading toward what? A new seller's market. First up, I want to show you what's happening with the falling supply here in Delray Beach. To do so, I'm going to give you 3 different zip codes to give you a consensus of what's happening since April of this year. That's right, 5 months ago. Don't be shocked. Let's take a look at the greater Delray Beach 12-month look at falling supply. So you can see here, actually for most of the year, it soared until April, but since April, the number of listings, active listings, is now down 352 units, or guess what? 16%. Now let's take a look at out west at the 33444 zip code, just west of I-95. Since April, down 93 units or 25%. Next up in the central Delray Beach area, zip code 33444, since April down 59 units or almost 24%. And last, the luxury market, 33483, which is east of the train tracks, since April down 67 units or 21%. All I can say is this, is that for the last 3 years, inventory throughout South Florida soared. It was up 275%. And at the end of this high season, April, everything made a massive shift to the downside. And that's showing up in a lot of new reports that's making me go, what's going on here? Every month I review charts from all sorts of resources in the industry, but there's one thing that's in common. Everything comes from the multiple listing service, or your MLS. And they have a subsidiary called Realtors Property Resource, or RPR, that provides outstanding graphs and information. So whether you're looking at CNBC or Redfin or Zillow, guess what? It all comes from the MLS. Now, before I get going, I think you might want to take a look at what I talked about last month. You can take a look at the video up here. I was talking about pricing in the South Florida area, as well as the months of supply. I talk about that ad nauseum lately. But today I've got one new source of information and data point that we got to get to right now. So the second thing I want to talk about are expired listings. Why? Because they've gone crazy. They've ramped up in 2025. And you may be thinking, who cares about expired listings? Well, guess what? The industry cares about them. Agents care about them, and so do sellers. Why? Because these were listings that were meant to go on the market to find a buyer to sell, and for whatever period of time they didn't. Was it a bad strategy? Was the pricing wrong? Who knows? But the industry looks at it closely because there's a big story to be told about this. So let's put some context to this. So in the last 12 months, there was about 2,200 sold properties throughout Delray Beach. At the same time, there were 1,540 properties that expired, did not sell. So if you take a look at that, that's about 70% of the sold properties expired. But more specifically, if you take the expired listings and sold listings, that means 41% of the aggregate properties expired. They didn't sell. So what's the point of all this expired information? Well, guess what? The industry does not have normal expired to sold data that we can look at. But as a data nerd, I can tell you one thing. I've been looking at expireds for the last 12 months. I have never seen such a rise in expired listings, not in just Delray Beach, but all through South Florida. That means 3 things. Number 1, sellers mispriced their property to start with to the high side. Number 2, their agent may not have had the right marketing strategy to get eyeballs on the property. And number 3, most likely the seller didn't like the low amount of volume of people coming to take a look at the property, or they were getting offers that were not acceptable to them. So guess what happened? Expired listings rose. And what that means is there's a lot of pent-up expired listings here in Delray Beach, 1,540, that could become potential listings in the future. Before I give you the third and final point, if you like this information, if you find it useful, or you think maybe a friend may find it useful, I put out a weekly newsletter that comes out every Wednesday morning. I've been writing about all things Delray Beach for the last 5 years. If you like this information, the link is down below and it won't cost you a penny. Now, the third and final data point is a biggie. I'm talking about months of supply once again. Why? Because through RPR, I'm finding data that's showing that we're moving away from a buyer's market and quickly moving into a seller's market. To put some context to this for you, months of supply over the last 18 months in most South Florida communities was hovering between 10 and 18 months. That's double digits. So anything over 6 is what? A buyer's market. So it was a strong buyer's market. Well, guess what? The charts show more than what I can tell. Let's look at the data. First up is Greater Delray Beach. Look at this. On the far left, it has crashed to 3.61 months, and clearly the bar shows it's in a buyer's market. Last month, it was down 20% from July. Next up is 33445, which is west of I-95. Again, it's down. The months of supply is down to, I call it a scary 2.7 months, and that's down 21% from July. Next, Central Delray Beach, 33444, down to 3.36 months of supply and off 20%. And then the luxury market, 33483, is down to 3.93 months and off 18%. That is crazy in such a short period of time. So the narrative from this RPR data is it's showing that we're in a seller's market, meaning months of supply is below 6. The crazy thing is I've been writing about and doing videos about our buyer's market for the last year and a half because months of supply was in the double digits. Things change fast in real estate. I'm going to be writing about this as we get away from the rainy months and go toward high season over the next 60 days. So if you haven't signed up to my newsletter, I'm going to be writing about this a lot every Wednesday. I can't leave you yet. Every month I give one bonus idea of what's happening with my boots on the ground. And the one thing for this month is New York politics. Yep, I had to bring it up. Why? Because there's been several prominent Florida real estate agent brokers talking on CNBC, Bloomberg, about how the demand of New York buyers has risen over the last couple months. Why? Because of the political scene going on in New York. I don't know. There's billionaires moving to South Florida. We've got Palm Beach is going crazy with billion-dollar projects. On a personal level, I've had anywhere from retired people who want to relocate for retirement all the way up to luxury people calling me. I've had 6 phone calls in the last 30 days from New York potential buyers asking, John, I need to get out. What's the Florida market looking like? I'm not sure where this is going to go, but speaking about going, I'll see you next month.